Calgary Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and it's my pleasure to rise this evening to talk about Bill 6. Mr. Speaker, I'm a city boy, but I have a little bit of farm experience. Certainly threw some bales for my grandfather when I was younger on his farm in southern Ontario, and actually spent 2 full summers in the tobacco fields, which is a different kind of experience. So different that Stompin' Tom Connors actually wrote a song about that called Tilsonburg. As the phrase goes, my back still aches when I hear that word. And I won't sing, you'll be glad to know.
Oh, very glad.
And also spent 25 years in the meat business, starting off as a time when I was a butcher, which is why the member from Vermilion Lloyd Minister thinks of me as a father figure, because as he mentioned earlier that and I thought when he was telling the tale about his father butchering out in open air butchering is probably where the saying come from that sunlight is the best disinfectant. Mr. Speaker, during my 25 years, I was probably in every packing house in Western Canada, and really was in contact with agricultural product at the end of its production, and was aware of how much care farmers had in the process from the gate to the plate, as they say, from the farm gate to the plate, and how much they care. And I'm going to give you some of my own thoughts, Mr. Speaker, but someone on the steps of the legislature said it way better than I ever could, and her experience is way better than mine ever will be. So I got her permission to get her remarks and read them to the House. And for those that are interested, I'm going to table them tomorrow because everybody should read these. Her words. My name is Coral Robinson, and I live on my family cattle and grain farm 3 hours northeast of Edmonton with my husband and 2 small children. We are fortunate enough to be keepers of land that has been in my family for 3 generations. We have 1 employee who is treated and respected as family. We would never ask him to do anything that he feels is unsafe. He chooses to work for us because farming is his love as well. I just wanted to make one thing clear here today. We are not farmers against change, and we are not farmers against safety regulations in the farming industry. We are here today because Bill 6 will change the lifestyle of thousands of very real families like my own across Alberta by January 1st, 2016. We simply want to be heard by the Alberta government before Bill 6 becomes legislation. Why does it have to be pushed through the legislature at breakneck speed without consulting with the people who are most affected? We are here asking for the Alberta government to stop Bill 6 right now and come and get to know us. Did you know that not one of our ministers pushing this legislation has made a living farming? If they had, they would realize there has to be a distinction between family-run farms and industrial-run farms, which are operated by employees. The family farm is our home. It is where we live. It's where we work, and it's where we play. It's where our children will grow up and learn life skills that they are fortunate to learn on the farm. It's where our neighbors and friends gather when we need help, with the only payment being a good meal, maybe some drinks at the end of the day. The family farm is a unique way of life. It's a business because it has to be. It's a lifestyle first, which involves hard work, long hours, risks, love, and family. You could not possibly understand the work, the passion, and the life that comes with it unless you live it. Bill 6 will regulate when I can teach my children our very lifestyle. It will regulate if my neighbors, family, and friends can offer a helping hand when we need it most. It will regulate the hours worked in a day when we are harvesting and snow is in the forecast. This is not something that should be rushed through and passed before our MLAs go on a Christmas break. This is over 100 years of lifestyle and tradition of farming families that is now going to be regulated. These are families who have past knowledge and passion for farming down through several generations. Can we not take the time to get this right? Ms. Notley and her, the Premier, sorry, Mr. Speaker, my apologies, I'm reading the letter and I realize, okay, the Premier and her supporters have painted safety on the face of Bill 6. I will tell you this. Safety of my home and my family and on my farm is the absolute most important thing to me. I know my 3-year-old does not understand what OH&S legislation means. What she does understand is the love she has for everything farming. What she could understand is educational material directed toward her age group, focusing on the dangers and hazards that are on the farm. What she won't understand is not being able to bear any responsibility on the farm until she is 12. And even after she is 12, she is allowed to spend only 2 hours on the school day doing what she has longed to do since she started walking and talking, but only after I've obtained a permit from the Alberta government. If the government truly wants to save the lives of people on the family farm, why not try to educate rather than regulate? We truly believe in safety, but what we don't believe in is being told when our children can have chores and responsibilities at our home. Our urban friends, I want to relate to you how this group of people feels here today. Bill 6 is like you giving me a blank check to fix your car. I know nothing about you, but I assume things like you have a fancy car, so you have a lot of money. I assume that you use your children, maybe even putting them in harm's way to earn your money to have your nice car. I'm telling you that I'm going to fix your car fairly, but I'm not going to tell you what I have found wrong with it. I'm simply going to fix it and write the amount of money you owe me on the check. You are not allowed to dispute this amount. If Bill 6 passes through the Legislature in the next couple of days, just over 2 weeks after it was first proposed, it is like that blank check for farm families. At this point, there is no distinction between family farming operations and industrial farms, which have several employees. Premier claims there will be a distinction, that she is going ahead on passing Bill 6 right now as a standard blanketing program. How can we trust that our lifestyle would be protected through proper consultation after this bill is already law? I forgot to mention that when you brought your car to me to get that fixed, I, in fact, am not a mechanic. I'm a gardener, and I've never fixed a car in my life. I want to leave you with a few realities of the family farm which are near and dear to my heart. For the 75-year-old grandfather who still has 30 cows left in his farm, and the only reason he keeps them is because he is afraid if he sells them, he will have no reason to get out of bed in the morning. He has made his money, and this is his retirement. This is his life and all he knows. His children and grandchildren help him when it comes time to bring in the cows or process calves. To them and him, this is not work, this is love, happiness, pride, and a reason to get together after months apart. At the end of the year, he has to sell his calves, and there is a business transaction, but this is not business. How do you regulate that? For the husband and wife who work 12 hours a day at their day job and come home to 3 hours of chores to make sure their cattle are fed and taken care of, they built their farm from the bottom up. They're trying to afford the life and love of farming. This is their home, not their job. How do you regulate their hours of work in a day? For the dad who picks up mom and the kids on a Sunday afternoon with the side-by-side to go check on cows, this is a family day. This is not a work day. It is the love of life. But to OH&S, this would be work. Where do you draw the line? How do you regulate that? Bill 6 is not cut and dry. There's no possible way that proper boundaries and regulations can be set by January 1st while respecting our rights as families to live our lifestyle at home. This is the wrong approach for family farms. We believe in safety, and we believe there's a place for OH&S in the farming industry, but there is one special and unique distinction that should be made, and that is the family farm. Other provinces have this distinction, and Alberta should too. Those words are better than anything that I could say, because this is a woman that has lived the farming and ranching lifestyle, and we should listen to what she is saying. You know, and Mr. Speaker, I've heard from the Minister of JSTL that we talk to people and this and that, but the fact is, that's not what farmers and ranchers are saying. I can tell you that when I was minister, along with the agriculture minister, we did talk to farmers and ranchers. The likes of Paige Stewart and Brian Walton were leading almost every producer group in Alberta, and we were making progress. We were getting quite close to the point where safety legislation, regulations could have been put in place on the farms and ranches. With the advice of farmers and ranchers, they would have embraced the legislation, which means they would have lived by it. People will support that which they helped to build. My colleague talked about, you know, if you put law in place that people don't follow, maybe it's not a good law. Maybe it's not a good law. If you actually bring them along and help them write the law, and let them help government understand what needs to be in the law, then farmers and ranchers will embrace it. And government will have a lot less problems with enforcement, with inspection, with all of those things, because people will will live up to a just law. And one of the best ways to make sure it's just is actually have people consulted who live the life that you think you're trying to regulate. Mr. Speaker, there was a big protest out here this week on the steps of the Legislature, the biggest I've ever seen. And you know what? Our friends across the aisle that are now in government, lots of them were out here carrying signs. But the fact is, half the people that were carrying signs with them are professional protesters, Mr. Speaker. And the fact is, certainly a lot of them were, and they could never generate the type of enthusiasm that was on the steps of this legislature this week. Mr. Speaker, not by local Edmonton people that have a garage full of signs, but rather people from all over Alberta, honest, hardworking, decent farmers and ranchers, children, families, whole families came, Mr. Speaker. There was kids in diapers, and there were people that were very experienced in life. Seniors, all here with a common purpose, not to say to the government, leave us alone. It's just say, talk to us first. Talk to us first. Listen to us. We'll work with you. We believe in farm safety. In fact, Mr. Speaker, as it's been said here in the House tonight, Alberta's record on farm safety is an enviable one in Canada, better than most provinces. So, and you know what? I believe that my colleagues across the aisle are good people and they're trying to make the world better. I believe that. They're just going about it the wrong way. If you think you're going to save lives and injuries on the path you're going, you're confused. What is being contemplated may not save a single life or a single injury, because Alberta's record is already amongst the best in Canada without the legislation. So I don't know where the magic is going to come from when you've got people with the best safety record. You're to a large degree. And you know what? There's some things that need to be fixed, and the farmers and ranchers know that. They just want a say in making it better. They do. It's not an unreasonable request. It isn't. All they're saying is talk to us first. And the government could do that several ways. They could put a pause on this, no more readings until they do that. They could send it to committee and invite farmers and ranchers to address the committee so they could learn what things there are. They could kill Bill 6, talk to people, and come back with a better informed bill. Mr. Speaker, again, I'm sure government means well. I'm not going to cast aspersions on them, but the signs are all there of bad legislation. You've got meetings, including tonight in Red Deer, where you got the government officials saying one thing, and the pieces of paper they're handing out say something completely different. This baby's not cooked. It's not even half-baked. And again, I know the intentions are good. I get that. And you know what? The results could be good if they just slow down a little bit. It really would not be that hard to do. It really wouldn't. And again, you couldn't ask for, you know what, I'm sure everybody in our break between 6 and 7:30, what did we do? We ate something. Why don't we just spare a thought for the people that provided that food? Good people that feed the rest of the planet. And you know what? They make a living at it, and we should be proud of them, and they should be proud of themselves. Why would we make it more difficult for them to feed us? Why would we unreasonably make it more expensive for them to feed us? You know, one of the advantages that Alberta can have is being part of Canada, almost everybody says, which will only be one of 6 or 7 countries in the world that will produce more food than it can eat itself. Why would we not try to make the most out of that instead of hobbling the people in that field? Certainly, you know what? A policy difference, and it's a real serious policy difference. The current government is going to lock billions, if not $1 trillion of value in the ground with coal. They're going to lock billions. They're talking, you know, there's talk about by some of them by locking billions of dollars of value in the ground in the oil sands and other places. Why not let one of the things that you haven't decided to lock in the ground yet, which is plants and animals, why not let them thrive? Why not let the people that produce that do that? Why not let that create more jobs for Alberta families? For even, and you know what? You'll even create more jobs for city folk.